In this video, we're going to talk about financial goals that you should achieve if you're making minimum wage or if you're on a very low income. Now, when I was making a very low income of around $11 per hour, I would always wonder how people were always buying homes. Like, I would go on Facebook and I would see people buying houses. They'll be taking trips, they'll be buying new cars, and I always wondered, how are they able to afford this stuff when I'm only making $11 per hour? So in this video, I'm gonna go step by step and give you guys the 5 goals that you should be trying to achieve if you're making minimum wage right now or you're on a very low income. And this way you can move from making minimum wage or $10 or $15 an hour and start making a lot more money and start having a lot more of the things that you actually want to have. Now, before I give you guys the 5 steps or the 5 financial goals that you should be trying to achieve if you're on a low income or making next to minimum wage. And by the way, guys, making more money isn't necessarily the solution to your problem, because if you make more money, you may still have the same problems because you just have some bad financial habits, and it would be good to get rid of these bad habits before you actually start making even more money. And this way you don't make more money and then waste more money. Now, before we get into all that, just a very quick reminder, if you're new to the channel or if this is the first time that you're seeing me, my name is Ian, and on this channel I talk about ways to make money, ways to save money, ways to invest your money. I talk about bank accounts, credit cards, and just about everything to do with personal finance. So if you like these videos and you like these types of topics, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. I'll really appreciate it. It's 100% free, won't cost you anything. Also, be sure to subscribe with the notifications on, and that way you'll never miss any of the updates when I post new videos on this channel. Now, the entire goal here is to fix all the bad habits that you have. So once you start making more money, you can keep more of that money that you make. And this is why you see people like doctors, lawyers, pilots, and a lot of people that make a lot of money, or they make very good money, but yet they're still living almost paycheck to paycheck. And when they get to 60 years old, they still can't retire because they never saved any money, or they don't have any assets or any money for retirement. So the whole point here is that you're going to have to fix your habits before you actually start making more money, because if you don't, then you're going to make more money and you're still going to be where you are right now. So you still won't be able to achieve the things that you want or afford the things that you want. Now, the first step here, or the first goal, is to start a budget. And I know this may sound like a broken record, but that's actually the first step. And if you're making minimum wage or a low income, you may be saying, Ian, I don't have enough money to create a budget, and so I'm gonna wait until I start making more money. And I used to think the same way when I was making $11 an hour. I thought that, you know what, I'm not making enough money, so I don't have to create a budget, and I can wait until I start making more money to do this. Now, that's actually not true, and my budget helped me even though I was making $11 an hour, which is a very low income, because it helped me to realize that, one, I wasn't making enough money to afford the things that I wanted. And secondly, it also helped me to realize that most of my money, even though I was making a very low income, most of my money was going to the vending machines. So immediately after creating this budget, I realized that I could buy a bottle of water, for example, for a couple cents, but instead I went to the vending machine and I paid $2 for that same bottle of water. So immediately after creating this budget and tracking my expenses, I quickly realized that I was making very little in terms of my income. I was also wasting most of my already very little income at the vending machines. Now, your budget doesn't have to be that complex. It can be really simple. All you need on this budget is, one, how much money you make, and then think about all the things that you purchase and make a list of your expenses, especially your recurring expenses or things that you spend money on every single week or every single month. So you make this list of all these expenses that you have, whether it's your bills or whatever you spend your money on every single week or every single month. And then on the other side, you're gonna list your income or all your income sources. So then you're gonna subtract the total amount of expenses from your income. And the goal here is to get your expenses to around 75% or less of your total income. So for instance, if you realize that you're spending $1,800 per month and your income is $2,000 per month, then you're gonna divide 1,800 by 2,000, which is going to give you 0.9. And then you multiply that by 100, which means that you're currently spending 90% off your income. Now, to make this very easy to see what amount you should be spending, or the maximum amount that you should be spending, you'll just take your monthly income, which in this example is $2,000, and then multiply that by 0.75, and then that will be equal to $1,500. And so in this case, that means that the maximum that you should be spending on your expenses every single month is around $1,500 from this income of about $2,000. So now that you have this goal for expenses, the next step is to promote yourself to the CEO of your own life and start managing your money. And so your money is going to be working for you, and you're going to be calling all the shots here. So this means that you're going to give your money specific jobs. So for example, when I was making $11 an hour and I didn't have my budget, my money was actually the CEO of me. My money was just going out there and making the vending machine owner rich. But when I got on this budget, I created for myself, I created jobs for my money. And so the jobs my money now had to do for me included building up an emergency fund, saving, investing, paying for all my expenses, paying down on debt, and also some of this money was for fun. So that's going to be goal number one. You want to create a budget and you want to assign specific jobs to your money, and that way your money starts working for you so that it can actually benefit you and not make other people rich. Now, the second goal that you should try to achieve on low income is creating an emergency fund of at least $1,000. Now, the idea here is that you want to have some money on the side for any unexpected emergencies or any unexpected bills that may pop up. Now, this one is very important because a survey shows that around 50% of adults would have difficulty paying for a $400 emergency expense, and 1 in every 5 adults would not be able to pay that unexpected expense of $400 at all. So if your washer or dryer breaks, if your car breaks, if something happens and you need some money, you can quickly grab that money from the emergency fund that you created. You can take care of that expense, and once you do that, you can go ahead and you can build that emergency fund back up to at least $1,000. Now, this is very important again, because if you're one of those adults who doesn't have, or you simply can't afford a $400 emergency expense, when you have an emergency expense, you're not going to have this money, and so you're going to have to put it on a credit card or take a personal loan or borrow money from someone, and this is going to put you into even more debt, probably high interest debt. If you don't pay the money back, or if you pay it back but you just don't pay it back on time, then that potentially ruins your credit score. If you borrowed the money from family or friends and you don't pay it back, or you don't pay it back on time, then that is also going to damage those relationships. So having an emergency fund is very important. Now, the next goal is to clean up your debt, and if you're lucky enough to not have any debt, then this is great. You can definitely skip this step. But if not, then this is something that you need to work on next. Now, the average credit card interest rate is anywhere between 15 to 29%. And because credit card interest is compounded daily, this means that you may be trying to pay the credit card off, and instead of the balance getting lower, it actually keeps getting higher and higher. And you could think of this like your house getting flooded, right? Let's say you have a flood and you have one bucket, and you keep scooping up water in this bucket and throwing it outside, and then every time you scoop up one bucket of water, there are 10 other people throwing 10 buckets inside. So you never actually get rid of the water, right? It just keeps getting higher and higher, and this is just like the credit card interest and credit card debt. Once you get sucked in and the interest starts compounding, it's very hard to pay this off. So a good thing to do here would be to pay that off using the debt avalanche method. And the debt avalanche method is where you take all your debts, you list them from the highest APR or the highest interest rate to the lowest interest rate, and you start paying them one at a time, and you'll tackle the one with the highest interest rate first. And then once you pay that one off in full, then you move on to the next debt on the list with the second highest interest rate, and you keep working your way down the list in this order. This way you get to pay them off, and you'll save a ton of money on interest, as opposed to trying to pay them all at the same time and having that high interest compounding and costing you even more. So make the minimum payments on everything but the one with the highest interest rate. You want to put all your extra money into that one, and you work your way down the list that way. Now, this may not be a short journey. If you don't have a lot of debt, then maybe this will be just a couple of months. But if you have a lot of debt, this may take you 1 or even 2 years. But eventually, you'll have to clean this up, so you might as well just start right now. Now, the fourth step here is to start investing some of your money. And before you actually start investing this money or investing into like the stock market or into your own business or just about anything that you think is going to make you more money, I think that you should increase your emergency fund from $1,000, which is the minimum, to at least 3 months of expenses. So if you know that, for example, you're spending $1,500 a month and that's what it takes for you to survive, you want to have an emergency fund of at least around $4,500. And that way, if you lose your income, if you lose your job, if you get sick, if something bad happens to you, you won't be homeless, you won't be broke, you won't be living on the side of the street, eating from the trash can, and you can actually have money to take care of yourself and your expenses while you're trying to find a new income source. Now, it is recommended that you save anywhere from 3 to 6 months of expenses, but at least 3 months should be the goal here. Also, you want to invest some money here, so this could be a retirement plan, probably a 401k plan if you have a job, or a Roth IRA, or even just a brokerage account, and you want to be investing around 10 to 15% of your income every single month, and that way, when you get to the age of 50 or 55, you'll have a considerable amount of money invested that can help you to retire either early or help supplement your retirement savings. So the goal here is to move away from a low income, but you don't want to move away from a low income and then when you get into retirement, you go back to square one. You definitely want to have enough money so you can maintain that lifestyle that you've built up for yourself once you cross over into your retirement years. Now, the final goal here, goal number 5 that you want to achieve, is that you want to own your own home, and this is also very important. Now, for the average or most average earning people, the biggest asset or the most important asset that they'll ever have or own is their own house, and so you want to start setting some money aside for that 20% deposit that you need to make, or that down payment that you need to make for buying your first house. Now, having your own house is really good because once you lock in those mortgage payments, they won't change, or at least they won't change a lot. Unlike your rent, which may start going up every single year, you'll have a set mortgage, and that way you can better budget for the future because you know that you have this one expense for housing that won't change. Also, when you're getting this house, you want to make sure that the payments don't go above around 33% of your gross income, because if it's more than 33%, then you may be struggling just to make the payments on your house. Now, once you create your budget, you start tracking your expenses, you have that first $1,000 saved up for your emergency fund, you start paying off all your debts, or you pay off all your debts using the debt avalanche method, you increase your emergency fund to at least 3 months of expenses, you start saving money, you start investing money, you get your own house, you'll realize that now you have even more money in your budget freed up after taking care of all these things. And so now you have more money to spend on things that you actually want. And by the way, guys, another bonus tip here or goal that you need to have is that you don't want to stay in a low wage or low income paying job. If you're making minimum wage right now or close to it, there's no reason to stay in that job. You can go out there and you can get some certificate, or you can learn some skills in 3 to 6 months or even less, which can help you make $50,000 to $60,000 per year. And that way you can start making more money, which helps you achieve these goals even faster and gets you to having the quality of life that you always wanted. Now, remember, once you do all these things, you want to keep doing them, because if you stop investing, if you stop saving, if you go back into debt, if you stop managing your expenses, then you could end up right back where you started and having to do this all over again. So if I were making $11 an hour again, or if I was making a very low income or minimum wage, these are the 5 goals that I would have, and this is how I would work myself out of a minimum wage job or that low income situation. So comment below and let me know what you think about the 5 goals to achieve while you're on a low income. Let me know what you think about this, if you did anything like this before, or if you'll try this now. And guys, if you want to talk to me one-on-one, you can message me on Instagram. The link is down below in the description. With that said, thank you guys so much for watching. All the best with your personal finances, and I'll see you very soon in the next one.